and a very impressive debut feature. And I think this film displays a real emotional resonance that is both personal yet deeply universal. It's a coming-of-age story. It's about family, it's about grief, and you'll soon see that it really crescendos into something very, very special. And now I'm going to introduce to you the writer-director of Suncoast. Please welcome Laura Chinn.
Thank you guys so much. I'm not crying this weekend, so I'm not gonna cry right now. But I want to cry a lot. I'm completely overwhelmed and filled with more gratitude than I've ever felt in my whole life. I'm so excited to share this film with you guys. So many people gave their heart and soul to this movie and this story. And I'm going to thank each one of them. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But I love everyone involved in this movie. I'm so thankful to Searchlight. Thank you guys. And there's going to be a Q&A afterward. I'm not going to cry at that either. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Does anyone need a tissue? I'll start with the softball as we all recover from watching Andrew Brown, which obviously emotionally impacted all of us on the programming team very deeply, which is why we're here today. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of this project and why you want to tell this film right now.
So I was a teenager in Clearwater, Florida in 2005, and my mother moved my brother into a hospice, and when we brought him there, we started to realize that there was a massive protest going on. And it turned out to be the same hospice that Terry Schiavo was living, and so that was just this kind of coincidental event that took place in my life, but it was massively expanding because I was right in the center of this debate and this very political protest, and I was sort of seeing these people, like real people, going through this thing, and it definitely was very expanded my empathy and my understanding of the world, and I kind of, I wanted to use that as a backdrop for Doris, who's going through the same thing.
Yeah, it's beautifully said and beautifully rendered. I've had a curiosity ever since we watched this, months ago in the process about the way that you wrote the friends, the group of friends. We were so surprised by how steadfast they were in their support of one another. And it could have gone in a lot of different directions. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of creating that cohort?
Yeah, I don't find teenagers that mean. All the movies I watch, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't had those experiences. I mean, I think that, my friends weren't going through what I was going through, so they were constantly saying things that were like, mildly insensitive and sort of unaware, of what I was going through, but they weren't cruel. And it's funny because, people say, like, when they read the script, they're like, oh, I was waiting for them to turn on her. But then I got to the end of the script and I was like, why would they turn on her? Like, why would they be like, your brother's dying? We don't want to talk to you anymore. So it just, for me, it was just my experience of growing up was, my friends were all very, kind and as supportive as they knew how to be.
Absolutely. And since we have you with us today, Laura, I'd love to ask you a little bit about how you prepared for this character who was so, challenging, but who had such a warm heart that we found empathy for. How did you prepare to play someone so difficult and so lovely?
It's very easy when the script is in such good shape. And honestly, the script came to me pristine. And there's always something that I listen to very strongly. If I get a script and I start working on it before I finish it, if I can't help myself, if my actor brain is turned on and you just start going with it. And that's certainly what happened with this. So really, it was, I talked to Laura, and I really did as much preparation with the script as I could. I tried to sort of follow the spirit of the script, and then I tried to follow the culture that Laura created on set, and that Bruce had as well, and to see how I could just help them as much as I could.
Well done. I think we enjoyed it, all of us. The casting process.
Yeah, well, it was, first it was the script, it was like getting the script to a place where we felt like we could draw people in with it. And once we were there, it was really, we were really wanting to make sure that every person in this movie, that you cared about all of them, that we weren't trying to make it binary and these people are bad, these people are good, and, I didn't want Christine to be someone that the audience was adversarial toward, she was Doris's obstacle, but I wanted everyone to see where she was coming from. And so with all of that in mind, we really were like, who are the people that, are so inherently lovable that, you can't not love them no matter what, So we initially when Jeremy works with Woody, and he brought the script to Woody, and Woody responded to it, and I had written it with Woody in my mind, like he was my muse for the character. It was how I unlocked the character's voice. So when Woody responded, it was amazing. And then when we sent it to Laura and she responded, I fainted. It's true. It's true, yeah. So yeah.
Very deep.
Paul, and how you balance that, because it just worked as a friendship. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine watched this movie and she was like, I forgot that men could be nice. Because in my experience, I've had a lot of really nice men in my life. I have a mentor who's here, who's 20 years older than me, who taught me how to write, and he's just an amazingly kind person. So Paul was sort of based on that relationship and this idea that there are good people in the world, guys, still. But the creepy question is interesting because we were aware of that age difference, but we were very aware of never having there be that question, but we didn't want, I was okay with a little bit of tension, I was okay with a little bit of wondering, because when you're a woman, you're always wondering, whenever there's a male relationship, you're always like, why are they being nice to me? But sometimes they're just kind. So yeah, that was sort of where that came from. Well, Bruce is our cinematographer, and I'm going to let him talk about it.
Yeah, first and foremost, I just want to say, like Laura said, the script was just so powerful when I first read it. At the time, I was dealing with loss myself, and so I was looking for a way to express that all the time. And so when I got this script, I think my agent Mira, who's here, she knew that I was looking for something to express that part of my emotion. And so the pain part of it, I definitely related to, because just being in facilities where you have to leave your loved ones and care for other ones, in care with other people, I really related to just the scene at the hospice. And I know I gravitated towards like how the light came into the room and how it could at one point provide hope and at another point could feel like isolation. And so I leaned into that, and then the sort of light part of it, the coming of age part of it, was something that I related to, because at the time, when I first started dealing with my situation with my mom, I was a teenager myself, so I was trying to still be young and free-spirited. And so I think me and Laura spent days and days just talking about our lives, and occasionally we would talk about some shots, but most of the time it was just relating to our experiences that we've gone through in our lives and our backgrounds, how we were raised. And so I think it just kind of it just came out. It was unlike other films where, there's a lot of talk about the cinema language and what we're gonna do with this camera and the aspect ratio and all this stuff, but it was really easy because we just talked about our lives. And I think for me, I hope that it came through, because it wasn't a lot of discussion about how we were gonna differentiate the comedy versus the pain.
Yeah.
inside the hospice house. Because for 20 years, the world has been talking about what happened outside. And, as a hospice movement, we work so hard to preserve the integrity and the dignity of the lives inside. And the protesters kind of took away our ability to tell that story. And so, on behalf of the hospice movement, thank you for telling the story.
So Suncoast at Woodside was where my brother was. It was called Suncoast at Woodside, and the nurses at this place were living angels. And that's the problem my mom has with the script. She's like, no, the nurses were perfect. The nurses are perfect. Christine needs to love the nurses. And I'm like, no, Christine hates everything right now. Like that's just what we're trying to say. Is this is Christine's point of view, but the hospice is actually quite lovely. And those people were actual, angels. And I'm so thankful to that facility and to that place.
Just about the Schreiber family, if you had contact with them.
No. I mean, it was really just, we were using this story so thematically that it wasn't, nothing we said in this movie wasn't in the news, wasn't, just recorded fact. We weren't trying to take a stand in any which way, so we haven't not spoken to the family.
All right, right here in front.
Yeah, hi. This is kind of a comment that I hope evolves into a question.
Me too.
But yeah, I hope so too. I graduated from Palm Harbor in 2006.
Palm Harbor High School?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I grew up in the area. I've never seen my hometown on the screen ever in my life, and I never thought it was very cinematic. I always wanted to get out of there when I was a kid. But watching this film, I thought it was beautiful and actually really amazing and cinematic. So kudos to you. And I guess my question is more do you intend to work with the vernacular of Central Florida again? Do you want to see more of that in film in general?
I'm obsessed with Florida. I can't get away from Florida. I just think it's so, I don't know. One person's like, yeah, Florida. I love Florida. I mean, I just do. I think it's so colorful and unique, and I think it's our entire country in a microcosm. I think we all talk shit about Florida, but I think really it's just the whole country, being shown to us in one state. I love Florida. Yeah, I think I'll always tell Florida stories until I'm legally no longer allowed to.
Cool. And you hit the nail on the head with it. That era, that time is exactly what it felt like to be in high school then. So
Thank you so much. No, we had our costume designer who's here, Megan Evans, is here. Where's Megan? Megan, stand up! She had so much fun with the costumes. Our production designer is not here, but she's amazing. She had so much fun with all the sets. The kids who are here, our young cast is here. You guys stand up. They treated the sets like they were at a museum. They were so fascinated with the old TVs and the old computers and the old flip phones, and they were like, this stuff is so old. I was like, oh, but not that old, right? But yeah, no, it was very fun.
Cool.
I have terrible news to deliver. It's that we are out of time, but how about another riotous round of applause?
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.